You've mentioned a couple of times that as part of rewriting your curriculum and designing curriculum K, you looked at things like how much time you're spending on various subjects. So like an hour of English every day, an hour of maths every day, etc., and everything else. And when I visited Kensington, you said to me, you've reduced, I believe, the amount of time you spend teaching English every week and the amount of time you spend teaching maths every week in order to focus more on health, mental health and physical health. So, and you had some very interesting things to say about the teaching of handwriting.
I thought that's quite you were going to say, Adrian. I was like,
how do you cover it all? How do you teach everything that you're meant to teach? How do you get your kids to know the stuff they need to know to do well on their SATs? So how do you cover it all if you're teaching less?
You don't cover it all. I'd ask those schools the same thing. That's the collective lie. You don't cover it all. No one covers it all. You know, it's a round peg in a square hole. It's a make believe. You know, it's those timetables that are stuck to teachers' doors. And the bottom line is that the best teachers aren't doing that. The best teachers are putting that there to tick the box to keep someone happy, and then they're teaching what they can see in front of them and what their children need. The best teachers are, and you know, those are often those teachers who are have got more experience and therefore more confidence, are making the right choices for their children. The problem is that this is that constant sense which you see in so many teachers of feeling, waiting to be caught out. Waiting to be found out because they know they're not doing everything they're supposed to do, because it's not possible to do everything they're supposed to do. And so we say to everyone, this is what you're supposed to teach all of this stuff to these children. You know, and even in a school where the children turn up and they're ready to learn and their attendance is fantastic and they're not struggling with the pernicious impacts of poverty and they're not speaking multiple different languages, which adds so much for them, but doesn't necessarily enable them to immediately pick up the national curriculum quite so simply. And even in those schools, there's just not enough time to teach them the things you're supposed to teach. And so no one is doing it all. So either you make an explicit choice and you say, we're going to do something about this, or everyone just goes off and does their own thing. You know, I love teaching, I love sport, I love teaching PE. So my kids never missed a PE lesson. But music, you know, my kids got a bit of a raw deal on that sometimes, because if I had to practice for an assembly, if I had to do some, you know, go back and go over something that we hadn't quite got, those were the lessons that slipped, because those were the lessons I didn't want to do. So, you know, what we've done is made some explicit choices. We've looked at the English curriculum, we've looked at the maths curriculum. And when you start to tear it apart, you know, we found that there are elements of that just simply don't seem to make sense. There's content that has been pushed far too down the curriculum, and you know, children are understanding fractions of amounts, you know, using fractions where they haven't learned the corresponding times tables yet, or and division facts. I mean, you know, how those two things don't match. So we've torn it apart, giving more time to those foundations. There are elements that go into other parts of the curriculum. Some sits better in science. I mean, you know, there are some bits of it. Basically, the process we went through, right, is this. Which bits of the curriculum do you come to and go, oh, no, not this? and if you are, why? And why do we continue with that? Why do we continue in measure to bang our heads against the wall, telling children that 1,000 equals 100 equals 1 equals 10, when they don't have any concept yet of the place value, they haven't got that secure, they haven't got the number secure? Why are we banging our heads against the wall? Why, in the 21st century, do we teach analog time before we teach digital time? Madness. Madness. Why do we, don't get me started on handwritings. Why do we care so much?
Yeah.
How important is that? How important has that been to your life, Adrian? How important has that been to my life? How important has that been to really anyone's lives? I'm not saying, like I say, limit this time, limit this
Yeah.
resource, everything. There is a point to handwriting. There is a point to measure and understanding how you convert those. There's a point to being able to tell time on an analog clock. All of those things. But we don't have unlimited time, so we've got to make choices. So we've stripped content out. We've focused a lot more on some of the basics. English is a classic example where that drive for grammar and that insane. So much of that again. So much of that. You read through the accolades we've achieved as a school. So much that grammar, I don't totally. Don't get me wrong. I can understand it if I go away, but off the top of my head, can I understand? No. I'm asking 9, 10, 11-year-old children, why? What is the purpose? Yes, having a foundation. Yes, being able to write in a way that means you can get your thoughts down on a page and people can read those. Very important. Being able to spell so it doesn't stand in the way of you writing. Having grammar that means that people can read what you've written and it makes sense. All of those things. Having an understanding of that grammar, absolutely. All of that to the detriment of having the time and space to write creatively? No, but that's what's happened. We've squeezed out so much of that creative writing, and it's become this tick box of grammar and what are the different parts of a letter or a non-chronological report, and getting children to memorize. Why is that really more important than them being able to be creative, to show their love, to get excited about writing? We talk about love for reading. What about love for writing? Children should love writing. Children love writing. It's like the physical health bit. We're so worried about children being inactive, but kids love to run around. So, our fitness lessons just get them running around. I can hear them outside now.
Yeah.
They're skipping and they're playing football and they're playing stuck in the mud. But you don't have to do anything. Just remove the barriers. Same with writing. We bang our heads against the wall. But actually, all you need, kids love to write. Kids love to be creative. Kids love to come up with stories and ideas and fantasy worlds and characters and all of that. So we just need to take the shackles off to give them those opportunities. So we've stripped out some of the content. So no, we don't do it all. We don't teach everything. We made some decisions. We've got a very multilingual community. Nearly all of our children speak more than one language. And we've got, we therefore don't add another language into the mix. That gives us a bit more time and space. We're really looking at ways in which we can maximize the time that we've got with our children. But we have to accept that we're not going to do all of it. And so those are the choices that we've made.